Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back for week 8. My brain just lost the days. It's week 8. And of course, it's another hurricane forward week. So here we go. Um, of course, I'm recording this on Monday. The school is closed Tuesday through Thursday. It doesn't really affect anything in terms of due dates or anything like that. In a fully online class, or even in my mixed mode version of this class, nothing's really going to change in terms of when things are due. However, obviously, if we have major power outages or internet outages or any of those things, I'm not going to count anything late. So don't panic. Don't freak out. I've already had quite a few emails about deadlines and all that good stuff. The deadlines won't change, but nothing bad's going to happen if you are late. So everything's going to be fine. I would encourage you, of course, to get as much done this week early as you possibly can so that you don't have to worry and fret about that over the upcoming weekend. And let's take a look at where we are and what is going on. So let me open the course. Now I have, here we'll turn on the student view too. I have, as usual, I'll scroll down to take a look at where we are in the schedule. So we are starting a new paper this week. Now I know that I'm not completely done with the definition papers. Hopefully I have enough internet and enough, um, electricity, my brain just lost that word, to get some grading done over the 3 days that my day job is canceled. So I should be able to get those back to you. Certainly tomorrow, I think we'll be okay for most of the day. So keep an eye out on your grade books. And as those come in, make sure that you look over the comments and the rubric scores and all of that good stuff. If you have questions, make sure that you send me a message in the inbox. Do not just post a question back into that assignment because I won't see it. But that will help you as we continue working towards the comparison contrast paper. Now, the comparison contrast paper itself is not due until the end of next week. This week, you're only learning about comparison contrast and turning in your pre-writing as we've been doing all along. So we've got really 2 weeks that we're working on compare and contrast. So let's take a look at the module and what is available and helpful and all of those wonderful things. In this week's learning materials, of course, you do have a couple of links to the Lumen Learning where you will read about comparison contrast and some information from the regular LibGuide from Valencia about comparison and contrast as a rhetorical strategy. I have 2 videos on organization. So there are 2 basic ways that we set up a comparison contrast essay. One is to cover one subject and then the other subject. The other is to cover the aspects of one and the same aspect of the other one and back and forth. In either case, you're going to have 2 subjects and you're going to have at least 3 to 5 criteria on which you're going to compare your subjects. So you're covering the same information no matter what, but there's 2 different ways of sort of organizing the information. And you get to determine which one works the best for yours. Okay. So I'm not gonna worry too much about that. I do want to go over the assignment sheet for the comparison contrast so that you can see what you need to be thinking about before you fill out your comparison contrast pre-writing. So I'm going to go straight to the actual paper assignment first. In this assignment, you will compare and contrast 2 cultural holidays by examining their traditions, music, and history. You can examine more than that if you want to, but those are kind of the 3 main areas of comparison. Personally, I think food is a fun one to look at with holidays. Decorations might be a fun one. There's a lot of different things that you can do within those things. You may choose to compare the following pairs of holidays. So these are pre-chosen for you. You do not get to choose two random holidays, but there's a lot of things to choose from. So, my personal favorite, and of course, as you guys know, I have been embracing spooky season for a while here. And this was the one that somebody had brought up with me, which made me choose the holiday thing as a topic. And that would be to compare Halloween in the United States and Dia de los Muertos in Mexico. So there's a lot of good reasons to compare those. And of course, there are a lot of differences as well. You may also choose New Year's. And specifically, I would do how the United States celebrates New Year's versus Chinese New Year, which of course is not even at the same time of year, but they are both New Year celebrations. Now, the third one has three choices, and you can do just two of them. But if you really wanted to, you could do all three. Christmas, Hanukkah, and Diwali. Now, Hanukkah and Diwali have the Festival of Lights aspect in common. Christmas, of course, is Christmas, and most of us are very familiar with that. So it might be interesting to just look at Hanukkah and Diwali, but you can do, again, whatever you want there. And then the last one, again, there are four here. I would not try to do all four. I would pick two, maybe three. If you really want to do four, you can, but your paper is going to need to be longer because I do want some good details with these. So Thanksgiving, I do not speak German, but Erntedankfest. I am studying Norwegian, so that one. Homowo Festival in Ghana or Pongal in India. So they're all related to harvest and that sort of stuff. So they have that in common. That's the big thing about comparison and contrast. These have to have something in common. They have to have some similarity. Otherwise, there's no reason to write about them. They also have to have differences, or there's no reason to write about them. So, be thinking about those. Those are the ones that you're going to start looking at this week, and you're going to fill in your comparison contrast pre-writing, which is very similar to the ones that we've done before. So you guys are familiar with those. The paper itself needs to be at least 1,000 words, so about 4 pages. You are required to use at least 4 credible sources. Library, of course, is always the best. But of course, there are a lot of good reputable websites as well when it comes to holiday celebrations. You are going to continue to work on documenting your sources using MLA format. And of course, the feedback on your definition paper will help you to make sure that you are learning those lessons about documentation. So make sure that, of course, you pay attention when that comes in. Content-wise, you'll have an introduction, body paragraphs that address the specific aspects, and a conclusion. And again, I've listed traditions, music, and history, but you can break it down further than that. You could talk about decoration. You could talk about time frame, because of course, some of them have different times of the year. Any of those things. But the 3 major divisions you could fall: traditions, music, and history. And then, of course, a conclusion. Please do not assume that this means this is a 5-paragraph paper. A 5-paragraph paper is almost never going to be 4 full pages. Now, you can still have 3 divisions and have multiple breakdowns within those. At the very least, if you were talking about music, for example, and you've got 2 different holidays, you're going to have a fully developed paragraph about one, and then a fully developed paragraph about the other. So at the very minimum, your body paragraphs, you're probably going to have more like 6. So do not be afraid to spend multiple paragraphs on one subtopic. Sometimes when we see that kind of 3 division, we automatically think 3 body paragraphs, and that is not necessarily going to be sufficient. So all sources must be cited properly within the text, of course, with the in-text citations, and included on your works cited page at the end of the paper following the MLA guidelines. It's going to be standard MLA formatting as well. We've got the structure kind of laid out here. Now, the way that I have it laid out, I have organized it by the criteria, but you again could organize it around Halloween, traditions, music, history, and like you can organize it the other direction. So keep that in mind, but this will give you some kind of areas to think about. The paper, of course, itself is due at the end of week 9. And I do have a sample paper that is about Valentine's Day that I don't remember if I shared with you yet, but I will share it in this week's announcement as well as next week. I wrote it about Valentine's Day in the US and France because that was where most of the sources focused. And it, of course, would not take away anything from the papers that you are writing because it's not one of the chosen ones, but it will give you an idea of what the paper will end up looking like. Okay. So good luck, enjoy, and please let me know, of course, if you have any questions. Like I said, if the questions are about turning stuff in late because of the hurricane, you don't even need to ask. It's absolutely fine. We will keep an eye out. All right. So I hope everyone has a good, safe week, and I will see you next week in week 9.